What's going on, everybody? Welcome to T-Box Talk, episode 26. Another bit of a special episode this week. Will is out of office. He is traveling in Mexico for his sister's wedding. But me and Josh are back from the Miami trip. Josh, welcome to the pod.
Woo-wee! I'm glad to be back, man. It was kind of brutal calling over. I'll be honest. I couldn't hear shit, but
no, yeah, I didn't figure you could. But so today on the pod, me and Josh are gonna break down the whole Miami trip. It was a lot of fun. We're gonna talk some football. We're gonna talk. I want to bring up some movies and shows. One of the movies Josh actually told me about, and then an issue with video games that I have that me and Josh are gonna bounce some ideas off each other. But chunk of the episode is going to be about Miami. Overall, Miami was freaking awesome. I've never been before. Josh has been a couple times. So to me, it was like seeing a different part of the world, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's really why I'm so glad you came out and why I wanted you to go with me is, you know, it's one of those places, Miami, where when you go there, if you're like from New England or, you know, I don't know, somewhere out west or down south, like further down south, it really does become a different universe. Miami is one of the biggest cities in the world. And also it's not just one of the biggest, it's one of, in my opinion, the most beautiful. Like a lot of the cities you go to, they're I'd say the vast majority, if not 90% of them in the U.S., they're not tropical cities. And so to see the splice between urban and tropical is, like, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful sort of sequences. One of the most beautiful combinations that you can have.
Absolutely. And like one of the things I really want to harp on is going to Wynwood, which we'll get into later. But Wynwood was one of those areas where it was urban meets city. And it's just one of the coolest things you'll ever see, you know?
That one's even urban meets, well, urban is city.
Oh.
No, I think what you mean to say,
culture meets art meets, I don't know. It's just art.
It's just art meets tropical meets city.
Yes.
It's this combination, Wynwood, that's just really special. There's probably, I don't even know if there's another place in the world like it. I know that there's different art districts in different places, but that tropical element where it's hot and there's palm trees everywhere mixed in with it, and then also like it's a lot of Latin flair and it's just awesome, dude. There's really nowhere quite like it.
Let's get into the chunk of the trip, all right? So let's get into why we were even down there in the first place. If you want to take a moment to explain what a 1031 is.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is something that I think everybody should learn about, and I'll be very quick on it. Essentially, when you get, not that anybody's interested in real estate, but if you do get into real estate, and it's a great way to hedge your money. You know, if you ever have like more cash on hand or whatever, you're looking for a business to get involved with, real estate's great. And when you sell a piece of real estate, you get hit with, you know, capital income taxes. So like if I sell it, if the tax rate's whatever percent, you know, I have to give that back to the government once the sale happens. If I can find a property within 45 days that I'm interested in buying, you don't have to actually buy it, but that you're interested and you've identified a place to put your money, you pay $0 in your tax on that asset being sold. So we had sold an asset here, wanted to go to Miami, and we wanted to, you know, my brother wants to move to Miami. I love Miami. My parents just got a place in Pompano and are investing into development there. So that was our opportunity to go there and check some stuff out.
Yeah. So once I joined Josh, they were telling me all about like this 1031 stuff and what types of property that they were looking for. And what makes it challenging is the zoning issues, right? Because in today's modern world, you want to have a property down there that you can do vacation rentals out of. And a property that is only zoned for short-term rentals can only have, a 1 month rent at the minimum?
Yeah.
But a property that is zoned as a hotel,
you have it backwards. If you have a property that's zoned for long-term rentals, so 6 months or more, then you can't turn it into a hotel.
Yes.
So you just, yeah. So, but to your point, we were looking for something that is in Miami Beach, and Miami Beach is one of the best it's one of the best, you know, vacation spots in the world. And so we were looking at one property, for instance, that was not zoned for that and still in a good area, but not zoned for short term.
Yeah.
And it typically, for anybody that's curious, takes about 3 years, 2 to 3 years to change zoning to something like that. So also the location wise, it has to be near a beach and or Collins Ave or one of the main parts of the plot of land.
Absolutely. But this other property that we were looking at is zoned for a hotel. So why that's important is you can make it Airbnb.
Absolutely, Andrew. We did the numbers. Right now, the big challenge, like the number one challenge, is just like where the world is at economically and how it is financing places and what the real estate market has been. It just over the last couple of years, it's landed at a place right now where it's just not sustainable. The kind of return that real estate is going for right now makes it very difficult to get into. So the only way really to turn a profit on something is to find those gems in the rough that you can turn. Like you can turn long-term leases into Airbnb, for instance, and try to make more money on your money, you know?
Yeah. So I know this is not the normal stuff we usually talk about, but it is very informative stuff, and I learned a ton when I was on this trip. So, if you have a platform to teach people, use it. That's what I always say. And so now we're going to get into some other stuff about the trip. Let's start with the drone work. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Josh was extremely excited about getting some awesome Miami shots on his new OMADA DJI drone, which is an FPS drone.
FPV. First person view.
Yeah, I just said for FPS. First person
FPS
shooter.
Russia. Colucci's going FPS Russia.
FPS,
2002.
I wonder what happened to FPS Russia.
I actually know what happened to FPS Russia.
Is he okay? Or is he a psycho? Or?
Actually, so he basically blew. He was one of the very first YouTube channels.
Yeah, he's
to
like
blow
OG
the fuck up.
YouTube.
He's
That's
OG
YouTube.
Yeah, and he just like I think that basically he was doing so many things that were illegal, and he just like
and just putting them on film.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they might still be posting videos, but their followings died.
Yeah. So, anyways, Josh had his FPA. Fucking
FPA drones, OMADA Pro.
FPV OMADA DJI drone. And he was really excited about getting some shots in Miami, and I played the role of Goose on these trips. So you want to talk about what an FPV drone is?
Here's the thing. I got this FPV drone. Everybody, if you've seen any of our Instagram, you probably know that by now. And basically what it is it's a first-person view. So you put this headset on, and you fly it like a bird, whereas other drones fly on a linear path, X and Y axis. Mm-hmm. Whereas this drone doesn't fly on an X and Y axis. It can tilt and lean in all different directions, making it fly like a bird. And it requires a far greater amount of skill and also is less control because of how small it is in high wind conditions. And we were also flying over we tried there's a lot of different things that we tried, like places we tried flying it. But ultimately, it was horrifying. Flying it over people is never great because if the drone falls out of the sky in windy conditions, which it definitely could do, and you crack someone in the skull, it's no bueno. If you fly it over water and it, again, does the same thing, drone's gone. So everything can go wrong. So I was relying on my trusty partner, Andrew, as my goose.
I was Goose.
We flew the drone into right next to buildings, skyscrapers, all along the water.
And we even had a situation where Josh was flying and, mid-flight, Josh having a full panic attack because it's his first time really driving the drone, like, or in that busy city area. We don't even know if it was legal that we could do this or not, but we saw another couple drones in the sky, so who cares? Anyways, Josh gets this amazing shot going around this tall skyscraper, like, apartments or a hotel? It was probably apartments, right?
I think it might have been. It was definitely in condos, yeah.
Yeah. And Josh gets this amazing shot. He gets around the building, and then we lost connection. And I'm freaking out as a goose. I'm like, Josh, I don't see anything on the phone anymore. And then Josh is like, I don't know what the fucking drone is. Luckily, there's a RTH mode, which is return to home. So the drone itself, and we found this in the footage, just like as soon as we lost connection, it turned around and just started coming right back to us, which was really cool, even though we lost connection to it. And then eventually we found the connection again and landed the drone safely.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird in the headset because you go from like, the thing is what you see in the headset, it's like a Superman view, and it just cut out. It just went black.
Yeah.
And that's never a good sign.
No.
Especially when it's like flying over like urban setting where there's people below, but even more than that is like horrible wind conditions and like I don't know, you just get there's just terror in every direction. Like it's just everything could go wrong at any moment. And so having Goose there for me was paramount to everything else. He kept me calm. He giving me my signals, reading things back to me. Klutch was a trooper.
That kind of concludes the drone work. We did get some amazing shots, and you'll be able to see that footage very shortly. But another cool thing, and one of the main reasons I wanted to go to Miami was the food. Food is a whole different culture down there. There's food everywhere from literally every different type of background. And the first restaurant...
Wait. So before you go into everything, is there a moment where I can just ask you a question about this?
Shoot.
So Andrew... because I know he's going to go one restaurant at a time, or I don't know what he was planning.
I was really just going to highlight the one.
Okay. So Andrew's goal when he came to Miami, he said two things, which is like the funniest thing ever. He said, "Can you see Cuba from Miami?" And he also said, "I want to have a Cuban sandwich." That was the one thing the little guy wanted. So we felt like, and trust me, we gave him the full experience. Andrew did everything. If you go to Miami, the things that he got to do / we got to do are what Miami is like. He got the experience.
Yes.
But the Cuban sandwich. Now, I know you were going to say the restaurant, so I'll just say it's the Palace of Versailles restaurant.
Nope, it's just the Versailles Cuban cuisine. It was never called the Palace of Versailles.
Sorry, okay, you're right.
I thought it was.
But it's named after and it's themed after the Palace in Versailles.
Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
No, I know so. It's the crystal Versailles meaning.
That's what the fucking.
That's why they did all the chandeliers inside. So they've designed this place after the Palace of Versailles, which I think is France, and it's inspired, which is weird because it's Cuban food. So I don't know, but that's what it is. And Andrew had the opportunity to try a Cuban sandwich, and Andrew did a rating on it and everything. He gave a shit score. I asked him, "What do you think about the Cuban sandwich?" He said, an 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
And I said, "That's the most rookie fucking score I've ever heard." I said, "Give me a real number." So he said 10. So he gave 2. First off, you can't change the score. Those are the rules. Everybody knows that. And also, he just gave these astronomically high scores. It wasn't that good, in my opinion. It was very dry.
It was.
But Andrew apparently likes dry and tasteless food.
I love dry sandwiches. I don't like when restaurants put too much sauce or oil or grease on the sandwiches.
What about melted cheese?
That's not dry. That's like still kind of dry.
There was loaded, not really. If you panini press, which I don't know if they did or not because it was weird. The cheese was not even wasn't even melted.
That's my type of sandwich, though. I like that. I'm a fucking weirdo,
dude. I can only imagine what if somebody was like driving casually down the road right now, listening to this podcast, just hanging out, and they hear some fucking idiot over the mic say, "I really like dry sandwiches." Like what? They're probably laughing in their cars right now, going, "This chump likes dry." Like who likes that? I don't want
to each their own.
No, it's not.
Yes, that is.
No,
yes,
it's not. There are rules to good culinary experiences, and dry is never on the list, buddy. It's never on the list. But that being said, we did have some other food there. We had some desserts and whatever.
Well, hold on. I just want to get into this for a second. If you've ever seen the movie Chef with
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau.
And that fucking beautiful Latin girl. I forget her name.
I don't know either.
I don't know her either, but she's amazing. And Iron Man.
Oh, yeah. Fucking Robert Downey Jr. is in the movie.
Robert Downey Jr. and Favreau, yep.
So anyways, if you've seen the movie, in that movie, first of all, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a great movie. But in the movie, he goes to this restaurant where he gets the idea to do something later on in the movie. And he says, this is what food should be. And it's all filmed at this restaurant that me and Josh were able to go to. And I don't know if the movie made this restaurant.
No, they've been around for a long time.
Okay. So they've been around, and getting to we pulled up the scene on YouTube where he's in the restaurant. We were right there. It's really cool. I personally like the Cuban sandwich, but I guess I'm alone on that.
I tried the Cuban sandwich, and if I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd give it a 6-7.
Okay.
Because to me,
have you ever had a better Cuban sandwich?
Well, that's the thing, Andrew. That's why
I have never had a Cuban.
That's why we never ever give out scores above the mark. Like you saying a 10 or 11, if you've never had a Cuban sandwich, then how do you know what else is out there? Especially as your first Cuban sandwich, a dry fucking. I didn't even going beyond the dryness. I didn't even think it was that flavorful. I didn't even think it just felt like an average sandwich at a deli kind of thing.
I disagree, but you know what? To each their own. But we did have some awesome things that we did like, which was the flan. The flan is a Cuban dessert.
I mean, my meal was unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Like, we had this chicken and rice and fried plantains that if you've never had that, when you have it in an authentic Cuban spot, it blew me away. Like, that was like probably an 8-2.
Oh, what was the appetizer we had? What are they called?
We had empanadas. We had a triple empanada roll,
which you claimed were the best empanadas you've ever had in your life.
Here's my thing.
Which you say
I never gave them a score, so I never said what they were because I'm not a rookie. And second off, they were. Yeah, they had more flavor and they were light enough. Because the thing is that when you eat something fried, it can't be saturated and heavy. Otherwise, it ruins the dish. Mm-hmm. So those were crispy, lightweight.
Yes. But still fried somehow.
Still fried, yeah.
I don't get how they do it,
good,
but they
man.
do it. It was really, really
well
good.
seasoned, great on the inside, perfect temperature, right? They were kind of hot. Mm-hmm. It was unbelievable.
And if you don't know what flan is, I didn't either before this. It's kind of like a creamy gelatin.
It's like a custard.
Yeah, it's a custard. Exactly.
It's like a gelatinous custard.
Yeah, and they have this like special Cuban sauce that they put on. It's really good. And as for the other thing, Josh saying, I did in fact say, "Can you see Cuba from Miami?" Because I thought you could. Now, geography has never been my strong suit. And I was unaware that Cuba was still like 300 miles off the coast of Miami.
But you understand that's also like, that's part of the joke. But the other part is that Miami is one of the biggest cities in the world and you'd never been there. And the thing you were asking to see was 300 miles away from Miami. Even if you could see it miraculously as a superhuman.
It would have been like 5 seconds of, oh, look, that's Cuba.
Yeah. Let's not go to like the number 1 and 2 clubs in the world. Let's fucking go. I want to go see Cuba.
Just from the
Miami.
Coast. I just want to see that I can see it.
I just want to see that I can see the landmass of Cuba from Miami.
Well, turns out the human eye cannot see 300 plus miles away. So I was wrong on that. I've been wrong before, though, so that's okay. But as for other food, I mean, I don't really think anything else stood out too much. I mean, all the food was good. I don't think one restaurant sticks out specifically to me.
Really?
No, I also forgot all the names of the restaurants that we went to.
That's interesting.
But like the seafood down there.
I mean, there's the Pink. We went to the Pink restaurant.
Oh, that was fucking awesome.
What did you get there?
I got the best BLT I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I think the thing is that we did. Here's the moral of Miami, right?
We never stopped.
We never like from day one to the end. We didn't really do like. You got to admit that on the trip, the food I made was probably up there.
Josh did make
banging
bacon, egg, and cheese. Actually, it wasn't bacon.
It was prosciutto, egg, and cheese. With
arugula.
With baby arugula, with a little bit of drizzling of olive oil. Yeah. It was salt and peppered properly. There was good seasoning on there. Melted cheese. And I don't think I did. You know what I did? I did more of an omelet style egg. Mm-hmm. And I put it on ciabatta, toasted ciabatta with nice olive oil again. And let me tell you something. I figured out the Mecca egg sandwich. Like, I think I could build a restaurant around this egg sandwich.
I think you could too. As long as you could learn to make them faster with the same quality.
You would have to.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think on the same note, Andrew, we went everywhere. Like, with the exception of that one egg sandwich that we did, or 2 days out of the trip for the breakfast, we went to restaurants nonstop, and we had all kinds of things. You missed out on, we had this place, this fritas place, that is like pure Cuban. They've got all types of awards, but they're like a kind of a hole in the wall diner off the strip, mm-hmm. Like not in the main part. It's in Little Havana, which is where a lot of the Cuban food and Latin, infused culture food is, because that's just what it's known for. Chickens in the road. Yeah. But they do these like string fried chips all over the sandwich.
See, I'd fuck with that.
I got to be honest with you. You would have liked that among the top. It was super good.
Yeah.
But we did a lot of food. We did it everywhere. That's all they have in Miami is like fun stuff, like boats, food, and twerking.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next thing I want to get into. We went to Story, which is one of the biggest nightclubs in the world, 24,000 square feet, and we got to see Loud Luxury perform. And now, here's where the the night starts before we ever got this story, because I am a worrier, you could say. I get very worried about things like, will this play out right? Will this happen? Will this happen? I went on the club's website and look at their dress code, and they said you will not be allowed in if you have a T-shirt on or this, that. Yeah,
Never
nice
said
dress
T-shirt. Never said
sleeveless shirt. What does that mean?
Remember, we went through this. A sleeveless shirt is no sleeve, and a tank top is the thin like beach tank top.
Okay, where did I get no T-shirt? Oh, your brother.
No, it wasn't you. It was Micah.
Yeah, Josh's brother, who's been there before, is like, oh, you can't get in with a T-shirt. So me and Josh are sitting there like, well, fuck, we didn't really pack for this. So we ended up having to go out and buy outfits for the night.
I did pack for it. I had streetwear and Lulu pants and decent enough sneakers, and I think that should be acceptable in almost every club that's not some exclusive club. Like Stories of Miami, a University of Miami kind of bar.
Well, that's what I'm gonna get to. Is like what we thought we were prepared for. We were told beforehand, not going to fly. Like, you're not going to get in. And then we go, we find outfits, we buy them, whatever. I'm actually kind of happy with it because I need to buy that shit anyways. We get there, and there's a bunch of college kids wearing T-shirts and dirty sneakers. And it's like, well, what the fuck did we just waste all of our time for, you know?
Oh, it's not time, Andrew.
Money.
I spent $200 at fucking Men's Warehouse because some guy was like, nope, you're not getting in like that. We're not going to let you come to our city and fucking...
Yeah, the fucking salesman.
Yeah, the salesman is like, nope. Yeah, he's like laughing. He's doing that chuckle when somebody's like, you know,
he's like laughing with his boys. Like, look at these guys thinking they're going to get in with that shit.
He's like, you're not coming to our city and going to our club. Our clubs are not letting you in looking like that. And I'm like, looking like what, buddy? You didn't even know what my outfit was. Nice guy and all, but like, goddamn.
Yeah, he was a nice guy at the moment. And then when I saw what everybody else was wearing, I was like, well, that guy was just full of shit.
We got played. And,
absolutely.
But the worst part is, like, Micah lived in Miami for so long, and he went to the University of Miami. I had even been to Story before, and I remember not wearing clothes that were, like, all that great. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. To me, the whole thing pissed me off because then Kluchi and I proceeded to spend $16 million in Story.
Yeah, so the issue with Story is they bang you for $26 a cocktail. It's just like the cheapest alcohol they have, which I think their house vodka is Tito's. But like, you're paying $26 per drink plus a tip plus
the cover was like
$75.
Yeah,
if you bought ahead of time. If you bought at the door, it was like $100.
And actually, if you had gone ahead of time and you had gotten a GA ticket, which was no different than what we bought, it's just what Micah said. It's a late fee. Anybody who's
that's what it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah, so it depends on when you buy your ticket. Josh happened to buy the final general admission ticket, and then I was going to buy mine, and it was empty. So I was like, "What the fuck?" So I had to buy a tier 3 ticket. They make you sound like you're a VIP. Realistically, they're just charging you for buying it too late.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, but we're talking a lot negatively. It's definitely the coolest nightclub I've ever been to in my life. Like, it was huge. The music was good. The light show. I'm a big sucker for light shows. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah. The only problem with it when I went back was it was so crowded on the dance floor. Sorry, the like GA in front of the crowd. It's a hype place, man. There's a lot of like it's not a club that you go to and if you have a lot of like there's a lot of older guys there with really young girls, and it's just like kind of it's a money / like influencer type place.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of club you go to for like the authentic like music and meet girls or whatever. It's really not that kind of place. It's clout. It's anybody who's there is someone in Miami Beach / Miami area.
And if you want to ever like actually get on the dance floor, you have to sacrifice like going anywhere else in the club, and you have to plant yourself there like hours before.
Yeah.
So that when the main act comes on, you're in the main
Just for the record,
stage.
it wasn't like that before. That was new for me. I don't know what they did. Micah said
because we tried to get out into the middle of the pit.
No, I know.
It was
actually,
a nightmare.
you know what happened? I think. So you know those tables that they had down on? They had these tables that lined the dance floor.
Yes.
Micah told me that those weren't there before.
Oh, so they constricted it.
They constricted the dance floor, and it made it look weird too.
Yeah.
Because the whole dance floor was like this one little block, and it was just tons of people, and then on both sides it was like empty. So it was like a weird it was weird. It should have been that whole entire bottom part should have been filled. That's when that's what I think it was last time, and it was way easier to navigate and get around. And it was also way more hype. But altogether, the ceiling comes down on you and shit.
But one of the things you have to know before you go to a place like this is the main act doesn't come on until like 2 a.m. So like you have to be ready for a long, long night.
A fun story that I'm absolutely comfortable sharing at this point. When I went to Story the first time as an 18-year-old, I got in and everything, but I snuck a bottle of alcohol in, like a bottle of vodka or something. Mm-hmm. And I was using in the club when I was in front of the dance, whatever, I'm taking swigs out of it because an 18-year-old can't fucking afford $27, $28 a drink.
Nope.
And all of a sudden, as I'm taking little swigs, and I'm hiding it as good as I can, I was hammered.
Yeah.
A fucking 7-foot bouncer comes out of nowhere, grabs me, and basically drags me to what's known as the White Room in this club. And the White Room is like a place where there are no cameras, and it's like soundproof on the inside, essentially. And I was swarmed by not just the 7-foot guy, but like 4 other of the scariest people I've ever seen in my life. Like the bouncers there are real deal. Like they're prepared to deal with all kinds of shit, gang members and whatnot, and even worse. Definitely like the annoying fucking
drunk
asshole college kids or whatever. But they brought me in there. My brother had run after me and he got inside, but I'm curious to know. I got out, by the way, safely. It was fine. They actually were. I had a fake ID and everything, and they let me back out, no problem. It was kind of a hilarious thing. But to note that Colucci, you saw the bouncers there.
Dude, I would have shit a brick if that ever happened to me. I literally would have shit my pants. Because these guys are real deal guys. Like they're huge and they're
massive,
busting out of their shirts. Like massive. It's insane. And and honestly, you kind of feel protected when they're there. So like I actually don't mind it. Like I don't mind that they're like very intimidating because they intimidate the right people. So like you want to keep the riffraff out and stuff, and you want to be safe. So I actually like it. But I would have paid to be a fly on the wall and see you get dragged in there by all these guys.
I just was curious because those bouncers are horrifying. Like especially it's like one thing if it was.
But they should be.
I mean, they should. Yeah, dude, they can move. They move. They were aggressive, though.
Yeah.
They were aggressive
like
in
when
the
they're
crowds.
trying to get, like, bottle girls into the tables, like, they push you. Like, they
push the whole
your
crowd
ass.
back. Yeah. But, hey, there was another feature there. What'd you think about the bathrooms?
Oh, the bathrooms are fucking majestic. Like, they've got guys in there, like, who, like, put the soap on your hand and stuff. The bathroom attendants is what they're called. And the bathrooms, like, I always expect a bathroom at a club to be, like, disgusting and awful and a terrible place.
Me too.
But the ones here are, like, magical. Like, you almost want to, like, hang out in there for a minute. Like, oh, this is really nice in here.
Catch a drink.
You can
hold your cocktail.
You can buy anything you need.
They
Vape, cigarettes.
Shaving equipment there. Yeah. They had mints. They had condoms. They had all sorts of things. Like, they literally was like a mini drugstore out of each bathroom. And there's, like, the guy there is like the sweetest man ever. They just monetize every spot in the place to really suck your pockets dry. But what do you think about airflow there, though? That was kind of weird, wasn't it?
That was one of the first things I said when I got in there. I was like, usually like a nightclub is like blisteringly hot and it's awful and it's a terrible place. Yeah. This was like, it's like it was AC'd in there.
Oh,
I was like, I never was uncomfortable at any point with my temperature.
No.
Yeah. So it was great.
Last time I was there, I was sweating my ass off because I was
probably dancing your ass off.
I was going even further than that, dude. I was jumping up and down like a fucking idiot. I was just loving it.
Yeah. So point of the story is, if you're ever in Miami, don't be cheap. Go to Story. See what it's like. It's one of those things where, yes, I spent $1 million going there, and I'm okay with that because, like, I got to go to one of the clubs that, like, famous rappers and athletes go to. So, like, just to say I got to go there, good enough.
And you're 24 right now. Like, if you're like 35 going to Story or you're 30 even going to Story, it's not that it's not fun, but it's a different experience. Because if you're going to Story and you're not balling out at 30 years old, then you're just going to get lost in it's weird because even at 24, it felt like we were the older. There was like the old ass people who were rich as fuck buying $6,000 tables, and then right beneath it was like
college kids.
Yeah, like there was no in between gap of like common citizens that are like working class citizen kind of people. Like, it was just old ass men who are rich and young ass kids who have rich parents, basically.
Yes, and then me and Josh were there spending our life savings.
Yeah. Me and Kaluch were there like fucking. The whole time we were just laughing about it. But I will say, like, we had the time. We had a fucking time. Him and I. We had some great time. Kaluchi and I to just hang out, chill, dance. Seeing Loud Luxury was kind of interesting, but Like they were okay. I think
I
their
didn't think it was anything
songs I
special.
think are better through the radio than they are through listening to them outside of the live event than they were in person.
I'd agree with that. And then we did hit the beach after, which was sick.
The beach was
There's
lit.
not a single soul on the beach.
Yeah.
It was like 3:30, 3:45 in the
Dude,
morning.
it was
We
such a
took
nice
over
breeze.
Yeah, we took over a lifeguard tower and we just chilled. It was awesome. Next thing I want to get into is something we already referred to early in the episode, and it is Wynwood. Wynwood is probably one of the cooler places I think I've ever seen in my life. It's Wynwood, Miami. What it is do they just like make graffiti legal, or is it like a thing there where you're supposed to graffiti everywhere?
It's the art district.
Because it's art, it's artistic graffiti. And every building, every wall of every building has these unbelievable graffiti art on it. And it's so cool to see.
So here's how that started. Winwood was originally a very kind of like really low income, dangerous part of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it starts, is it becomes the art district as more and more kids are literally spray painting all over the city. And there was very low financing, so it became sort of a sculpture, and it wasn't lived in like other parts of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And who was there, it was very dangerous, and it was also just not that great of an area. And over time, as more and more kids started doing more and more graffiti, and they dictate that area, that region, as the art district, once it gets to that point, all of a sudden it becomes gentrified. So they start bringing money into the area, building up these huge buildings, which you saw, and they start promoting the artistic aspect that district had taken.
Mm-hmm.
So it's grown into what you saw, but originally it was just really starts with it being an art district and kids doing graffiti.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. We went to this place called, what was it called? The Winwood Walls? Is that what
Yes.
it's called? And it's pretty much an outdoor museum, I guess you could call it.
It's a gallery. It's an art gallery.
It's an art gallery, and it's outdoors, and all these walls are graffitied over with some of the coolest art you'll ever see in your life. And, you know, me and Josh will probably compile our footage together, and we can probably release another video on OMADA Golf of, you know, some of the artwork that we saw. We'll try to find a way to get that out somewhere.
Right.
But it was just one of those things that you don't appreciate how cool it is until you go and see it in person.
Yeah.
You can watch all the videos you want, but it doesn't matter. You don't get to see the size of it in person. You don't get to see the size of it in video. You only get to see it if you're in person.
Talk to them about what was the cool thing, that cool ass thing we saw in that one part of it, that shop that they had.
Okay, so in Atlantic City, the defunct casino, the Taj Mahal, was closed down. Before it closed down, there was this artist who went in there, and he had special access to buy everything, like all the cool things that they were giving away. And there's this massive chandelier that used to hang from one of the ceilings of the Taj Mahal, and it's inside the Winwood Wall Museum, where they have everything from the Taj Mahal that this artist bought, and they had to separately ship each little piece, thousands and thousands of pieces of this chandelier, to this little tiny building to construct it all. It took them over a month of people working around the clock to put the chandelier together, and it's straight from the Taj Mahal, and it's one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen in my life.
They said that it weighs as much as like a dump truck.
Yes.
They said that this thing
They had to build full support beams in this little building just to hold this thing.
Yeah. And they wanted to sell it for $1 million. That's what they were asking for that chandelier. And it's worth noting that the Taj originally, I don't think it was owned. Someone had bought the Taj, and then Donald Trump is the one that made it the Taj Mahal, I believe. And then from there, it's been passed on to different owners and whatnot. And it's Atlantic City, so I don't know much about it, but I just know that chandelier was really fucking wild to see.
Yeah,
the magnitude.
Yeah, you don't realize how big a chandelier is until it's hanging like 1 inch off the ground.
That's what those casinos do, is they distort your perception of their rooms like that. Because that thing was huge.
Like knowing that took a month, and then looking back on our Vegas trip and seeing the chandeliers in the Venetian, like how the fuck did they build those things? Like I don't even know. I don't even want to know. This is really cool. Couple other things to touch on. traveling back, I got my flight delayed. I was sitting on the fucking runway for like an hour as like a massive lightning storm passed through Miami. But some couple I was sitting next to pulled up the Patriots game for me, so I was able to watch the Pats game, which was pretty sweet. Anything else you want to touch on the trip to Miami?
We took a
story. Oh, the boat.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say.
Yeah, you can take it away.
Well, we rented out a 42-foot boat.
Yep.
It was pretty good. It was okay. I mean, it was great getting on the water. That's all I care about being, that to me, it's not even about being on a yacht or anything. I just like being in the water, cruising around. That's how I relax. And I think, there was a lot of diesel in the back on that boat. It was an older boat, but it was big. It was still cool inside and whatnot. Seeing the channel, all the buildings and the high rises that are connected is so cool. My dad got into it with the guy a little bit because my dad wanted him to go faster, but he wanted to save money on gas.
Yeah, the captain was being the captain.
The captain was being a cheap fuck.
Yeah.
And basically we wanted to go faster and the guy refused to do it. So there was beef. There was also a little bit of a language barrier there.
Yeah.
As he was speaking primarily in Spanish, but he knew exactly what we wanted and he was just unwilling.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are in a situation where if we had told him to go out and park the boat so we can just chill and party, that guy makes like $1 million profit because like he doesn't have to spend any money on gas. But what we wanted to do on the boat was like see everything, travel around, see.
Well, we wanted to go. We were right near Miami Beach too, which is where we were looking for real estate, and he wouldn't drive over there.
Yeah, he said it was too far.
It was literally like within a couple hundred yards of us.
And if you do these boat tours, you got to know where they take off from, in my opinion, because you get 4 hours on the boat, an hour of which you're driving out through the little like channels.
Which I knew that once I saw that location where it was taking off from, I knew that was going to happen. But I kind of wanted to do it for a first time.
I wanted to see the buildings though, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like to me, that was driving through that channel. To be honest with you, is for like I'd say half the channel would have been enough, know, because like the rest of it is very industrial, but. It was fun. It was a good time. Being on a boat in Miami, watching. There was this one boat that drove by that had like 20 girls on it, and there were like no guys and 20 girls, and they were blaring like I don't know if it was rap or whatever it was, and they were having a legitimate twerk competition on the back of the boat.
Yes,
and I said, to me, I haven't been boating a lot. Like I've never owned a boat or anything, but when I have been on boats, I've never ever seen that before.
A full-on twerk competition.
I mean, who does that, And that's just like what you get in Miami, that's why it's like Miami's a great place to party. It's a great place to go and hang out for a vacation. I don't know what it would be like to live there, but there are areas surrounding Miami like Fort Lauderdale and Pompano that are also pretty lit as far as so it's got, to me, Southern Florida's got it all. So that was a fucking awesome trip. Colucci's the man for coming out. I hope he enjoyed it. And
yes, I did. It was awesome. I enjoyed every second of it. Let's get into something that's brewing this week. Me and you in this very competitive fantasy league that we're in are competing against each other this week.
Oh my God, that's right.
I would like to propose a $50 bet on the matchup.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Yes.
Josh Jacobs, Andrew's number one running back now.
No, he's not.
He's your number one running back.
Austin Eckler's my number one running back.
How is Eckler really?
He's the number one ranked running back in fantasy football right now.
Stop.
Yes. 2 straight 30-plus point weeks.
Who's your backup now? Who's coming in?
I have to play Travis Etienne Jr., which is one of those guys that everybody tells you before the draft, like, oh, draft this guy. Like, this guy has huge upside potential, even though he's never played a game in the NFL. And then you draft him, and he does fucking dick all. So
yeah. I mean, it's tough because my number one RB, DeAndre Swift, is also out on an injury still.
And he's on the bye this week, regardless if he comes back
and he's on the bye, so he's not playing. And then it looks like Hawkinson, who scored 40-something points for me 2 weeks ago, is on the bye as well. And Josh Reynolds, my new pickup for my wide receiver.
Yeah, well, all three of those guys are on the Lions. So, yes, the Lions are on a bye this week.
I know, which fucking sucks. But I have some decent options as my backups for those players. Although Freiermuth is going to fuck me over, dude. Actually, the more I look at this lineup.
Freiermuth is concussed right now, so he might not even play.
If he doesn't play, I might be literally screwed.
Yeah, you're gonna have to grab another tight end.
I'm gonna have to grab some shitbox tight end and just basically suffer the consequences.
Anyways, me and Josh.
$50 bet.
Done.
Okay.
You want to do this?
Oh, I'll do it.
Shake on it for the audio listeners. We are shaking on it. $50 matchup bet.
Damn.
I'm excited.
That's actually makes this week intense now.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
And we have a quarterback controversy for our beloved Patriots. Bailey Zappi beats the Lions 29-0, and now people are starting to ask the questions, which I think is absurd because, if you really look at that game, he didn't do that much on offense. I mean,
team rallied behind him, though.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Folk kicked 5 field goals, which means those were 5. That means that's 5 drives that went into opponent territory that didn't have a touchdown.
Yeah.
You can't win the game kicking field goals. Luckily, our defense was fucking stellar.
Number one scoring team in the league right now, though.
Yeah, we shut out the number 1 scoring offense.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So it's like, no matter what you say to me, that game, that didn't happen when Mac Jones was in that pocket.
Maybe the boys rallied around Bailey Zappi did. Maybe
they literally might, and we've seen that's the story of Tom Brady coming to be who he is on the Pats, is taking out Bledsoe, the number 1 highest paid QB at the time in the whole league. So Mac Jones hasn't done shit right now, and I think he's like, the hype for Mac Jones is out of control. All I see are these.
I could say the same thing, that the hype is out of control for Bailey Zappi.
No, I don't. I'm not talking about the hype from the people, from the fans. I'm talking about the commercial hype that they're doing. Like, Mac Jones was this huge, like, it almost was like they built him up to be too big for his own good. Like, he came into Tom Brady's spot, and I think that they did this thing where they blew it up. He's sponsored by No Bull, and he's like all over doing these commercials. And all I can think in my head is like, he's basically a rook.
Yeah, he's like 22.
Yeah, and he's coming into that role of like where Tom Brady was dominated for the last however many years. 20 years. And like, basically they continued this. It was like a passing of the torch, but when you pass a torch that's so hot, you might drop it, you know?
It's a lot of pressure to put on somebody to try. Like,
it is.
When Cam Newton came in for that, short year, it's the COVID year. The Patriots, I don't really acknowledge that year. Like, Cam Newton was going to fail no matter what.
Mac Jones just feels like a slug to me, though, dude. He doesn't move. He's not quick. Like Bailey Zappi, he went for a run the other day, didn't he?
Yeah, he was able to juke out the number 1 pick in the draft, and I'm blanking on his name right now for the Lions, but he avoided a sack and picked up like 5-10 yards.
He's a fucking beast.
He's quicker.
Dude. He's quicker.
He's small though. He's small.
He's
very small.
How small?
Like less than 5'10" probably.
He was not much taller than
Robert
Kraft when he gave him a hug.
Yeah, that was a little concerning of a video for me.
That's a lot concerning. How tall is Lamar?
Oh, he's not that tall either. Lamar
Really?
Jackson? No, he's not that tall.
Maybe you don't have to be that tall.
Maybe you
I mean, how tall is Aaron Rodgers?
He's pretty tall.
Well, that fucking idiot threw it into 2 helmets on the game-winning drive the other day. So I guess you don't have to be that tall in the NFL because
but Baker Mayfield's whole thing is that people clown Baker Mayfield because he's so short, you can't see over the line. Kyler Murray too. Kyler Murray of the Cardinals, like, he gets clowned for being too short too, and like they're still NFL quarterbacks. They can throw over the line.
There's only so many of them, so it's like. But yeah, so this will be good, Andrew. We'll go into this week with a lot of competition. I'm actually kind of shitting my britches right now because my line I looked like I was undefeatable this week, and I think I still would be if the Lions weren't on the bye. But
I think me and you will match up pretty evenly based on our teams. And then Josh showed me a movie that I want to talk about. It's I Used to Be Famous. Really good, heartfelt movie. I know Josh's been wanting to talk about it on the podcast. And when we were in Miami, we watched it with his dad, and it was really good. I actually give you props for suggesting that movie. It was very, very good.
That movie slapped, dude.
Yeah, so if you have Netflix, watch the movie I Used to Be Famous. It's about a failed pop star who befriends an autistic kid who's very good at drumming, and they kind of just like have a great friendship together, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then one other thing I wanted to touch on before we close out the podcast. There's a video game that me and Josh play with all of our friends. It's called Overwatch. It's one of the biggest games in the world, made by one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, Blizzard. Blizzard, bought by Activision, so it's Activision, Blizzard, whatever. Overwatch 2 launched last week, in what I think might be the worst game launch I've ever seen in my life. This game had 2 server hacks on day 1, night 1. Their servers were attacked by online hackers and completely shut down twice. They had over 50,000 people in the queue trying to play this game. The first night, you just couldn't play, which sucks. Like, after the server attacks, they shut everything down. You couldn't even get in if you wanted to. And then, this is the killer. This game is free to play. And I understand it's bringing in a whole new audience. They probably weren't ready for the server size, but, I mean, you should be ready for that. Whatever. I won't complain about that. What I will complain about is the fact that months ago, they sold the beta for $40. If you bought early into the beta for $40 to play a free game, you were given certain things. You know, you didn't have to unlock any characters. You didn't have to buy the battle pass. You didn't have to do any of that stuff. None of that stuff carried over. And so they're fixing it actively. But, like, it's been a week since the game launched. And, like, I don't have certain things that I was promised. Sometimes I have them, and then sometimes I log on to the game and they're all gone. So it's like, what the fuck are we doing? It's one of the worst game launches I've ever seen in my life.
Coolidge really needs. He's been pent up about that. My thing is, like, at this point,
and they didn't even change much from the first game.
It's the same goddamn game. But either way, to me, the video game world has really declined as far as, like, there's nothing really innovative like Fortnite or Halo coming out or Gears of War. The games have just become very repetitive. And Overwatch is a great game, but, you know, for them to struggle so much with this, it's dumbfounding.
Well, what drives me crazy is this: the battle pass. That Fortnite changed video games. There's no debating that. You know, it brought a lot of people back to video games. But Fortnite also changed video games for the worse when they introduced the battle pass. The battle pass has ruined, like, every other game past that, because original Overwatch, you just earn your little loot boxes, you open up the treasure chest, you see what you got. It's fun. It was always like, it's kind of like gambling. Like, you don't know what you're going to get, but you're not paying for that stuff. Like, you earn that stuff. In this game, because it's free to play, they're kind of flashing this stuff at you, like, buy this battle pass, buy this skin, buy this, buy this. The world of microtransactions is slowly and hardly ruining video games, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
you got nothing for this one. I'm sorry, I get passionate about video games.
I just don't share the same passion.
I get passionate about video games.
I am passionate. I have been in the past passionate about video games, but I think it's just, I think I'm more passionate about the meta than I am about Xbox.
Fucking meta. The meta is also a money hole too. It's like $30 for a game.
Yeah, but they work,
yeah,
and when they do work, they're like another universe. Yeah. So to me, there's a even if I don't play a lot, when I do play, it's really special. So
yeah,
I think I'm so sorry about that, Andrew. I feel horrible.
Well, I had to get it off my chest anyways. You got anything else you want to discuss before we get out of here? We've already been going for almost an hour now. Be on the lookout for hats. They're coming very soon.
Yeah, I would say if you're listening to this, like, the lineup of hats that we're putting in, that we're getting out right now is just ridiculous. Like, it's going to be so insane. I think that's going to be, like, one of the coolest things that we've ever done as far as products go.
Yeah, so just be on the lookout for that. Subscribe to our email list at omadagolf.com. Check us out on Instagram at tboxtalk or at omadagolf. Check us out on TikTok. We finally had a TikTok get over 10,000 plays, so I'm pretty pumped about that. We're at like 14.5K plays. So
that's unreal.
It's a slow grind trying to work the TikTok algorithm, but we're doing it. Thank you so much for listening. Please share with your friends and family. Like, rate, subscribe, the whole 9. Check us out on YouTube. You know, I put a lot of work into cutting together the video podcast, so check us out on YouTube if you want. Thank you very much for listening. Josh, thanks for participating in this wonderful episode. Will be back in office next week. We'll have the full crew back together again. We'll recap his trip to Mexico, and amongst other things. So thank you very much for listening. This has been T-Box Talk, episode 26. Have a wonderful weekend.